Thank you. And we're on the air. It's Suzilla.
Yay. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Susie.
How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. We're here at Wenatchee Insurance, 14 North Mission. And
welcome to Suzilla. In case you're wondering, oh my God, what's going on with them? Neither of us are feeling very well.
Yeah, so we're a little laggy today.
A little laggy, yeah. That's a kind way to put it.
And it's one of those things. It's really relevant to what's going on in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, where we got that old thing called COVID.
Yeah, I haven't a blast. Oh my God. Yes, and we're still doing this. Don't ask me why. So Matt, let's see. Nick, our son brought it home last week, and he came down with it. Friday last week?
I could feel a little tickle by Saturdays when I tested.
You tested positive on Saturday. Tuesday for me. I lasted longer. I'm feeling Monday I started feeling it. Tuesday it hit me. Oh my God, did it hit me? And then I've been feeling a lot better, but I'm definitely not up to speed. I haven't tested to see if I'm still testing positive. I suspect I probably am. Matt's probably close to testing negative at this point.
Pretty close. It's one of the ones. It's weird, circular. You feel good and not so good. You just keep driving on.
Exactly. So our office is in fact closed to the public today, which reminds me, is the door locked?
I have not locked the door. We will do that.
We want to. We should probably see if we can get the mail today, though. Put a mask on. Right. So what's our topic?
Our topic is we're gonna talk about the myth of the old reliable.
The myth of the old reliable. Okay.
Because we're seeing this it's the old reliable is one of those things that we get pitched a lot.
Okay.
Leader.
You should see his hands. He's doing a little puppet mouth.
Puppet mouth, because it's manageable puppet mouth. And they say, hey, find, one of the cheesy lines is find out what works and then do it. I've heard that forever for managers.
Okay.
Because they don't take into account, the individual.
No, they really don't.
And we see, we know people who that's their bread and butter. They find something that works and they'll run with it for years.
Yeah. And it's without any kind of variation or any tweaking to the changes in the market or the changes in technology or the changes in products, all of it. They just like, nope, this is what works. We're going to do this. And that can cause some real staleness in your business. That's why you still can walk into an insurance office and see the dark wood and
it's not just biz though.
Okay.
And this is why I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
I read a really kind of a sad article on a United Methodist church that was closing its doors after, being in business for, 80 plus years.
Yes, churches are businesses, but go on.
And, they attributed it to that dwindling membership.
Yeah.
And that they couldn't, have enough revenue to keep the doors open.
Okay. That's not unheard of.
Yes, and one of the things about churches is there's a point where when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, same denomination.
Yeah.
As this article, so that's probably why it hit home to me.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at it, and I went back in the 90s to my old church.
Uh-huh.
And invited. It was not an inviting place anymore.
It was exclusionary.
So it became they were running more on the old reliable at that point.
Okay. I see where you're going.
And that's a very keen evidence is your business, is it inviting diverse people?
Yes, diversity is super important.
because that means you're not sitting there and you're using templates to sort people out.
Okay.
When you do that, when you're doing that sort,
Yeah.
you're using a template, you're using cookie cutters,
Yeah.
and you're trying to find what peg everyone goes in.
Oh, you're doing the square. Sorry, I am really not very articulate today. You'll have to forgive me. But pigeonholing people.
Yeah.
Which is rarely a good idea. The only reason why you might want to categorize people is to make sure that they are getting the right product for them. For example, someone who's over 65 versus someone who's under 65, and sometimes even people under 65 need a product that's normally targeted towards someone who's over 65.
Well, this is one of those instances of you're using set models.
Yeah.
And from the old.
Yes.
And you're using that to interpret the new.
Okay.
And that's where you start making mistakes.
Okay.
Because it's a great example for that. You don't have any idea if the folks in the audience that are young, whether they're there to listen for their parents or if they're there because they're disabled and on Medicare.
Uh-huh.
So you're using that old model of exclusion, and you're alienating your incoming.
Okay, I can see that.
So that's the first one. Is are you inviting?
Yeah.
And that's one of those key aspects that as a business, Susie and I have always adhered to is we need to be invitational to all. One of the first things I did was scrape off the no solicitation sign on the door.
Yeah. Because we take, you're welcome to come and talk to us. We're not necessarily going to, we might not buy from you, but we might also sell you something. We have literally had that happen. We've had people come in to tell us about their products or tell us about their religion or tell us about whatever they want to talk to us about. And that's fine. You're always welcome in my office. Yeah. And then we turn around and sell them life insurance or health insurance or travel insurance or whatever they need.
Yeah.
And it becomes a relationship. Mm-hmm. No, maybe I will buy your knives. Maybe I won't buy your knives. Maybe I'll sell you your health insurance. Maybe I won't sell your health insurance, but we've created a relationship with this person. Yeah. Yeah, it's a business relationship, but that's okay. And then sometimes you make friends, which is even better.
So yeah, that's one of those things. It's like, yeah, if you're stuck in that old reliable, you are missing out.
You really are.
And you're starting to choke out your business.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. You're by saying no, I won't. By having a no solicitations. When you have no's on your front door.
Yeah.
No public bathroom. No this. We're only not open during these hours. Sorry, again, not super clear-headed today. Mm-hmm. But if there's a lot of no's on your front door, people are not going to necessarily feel welcome, even if they do want to do business there. Mm-hmm. And that's something you pointed out a long time ago. I was like, okay, we don't want to have no's on our front door. Oh.
I want people to have a good conversation and say yes.
Yeah, it's yes and in our office as much as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I do acknowledge that I forget that sometimes. And there are rare instances where the answer is no. Mm-hmm. Usually if the answer has to be no, there is either a super good reason, or B, no, and here's an alternative.
Now, the next example for old reliable is the communication level.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing old reliable, you don't have a lot of talking and not a lot of communication back and forth.
Okay.
It's usually one-sided. This is the way it's always been.
This is the way.
And so the more you lean away from the hey, let's have a conversation, to, hey, this is the way it always is, or, hey, I'm not going to tell you anything, and you're supposed to understand this the way it is.
Gosh, I hate that.
But that's an extreme example of the old reliable.
You're supposed to know this already.
You're supposed to know this already.
How am I supposed to know this if you didn't tell me?
You're supposed to know this place.
Yeah.
And
but guess what, folks? We're not Mandalorians. It is not the way.
Well, no, the way is we have an adult conversation because we're adults.
Well, no, yes. And this is the way is a really excellent, the Mandalorian.
Uh-huh.
All right. Star Wars Mandalorian. Yeah. This is the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an excellent example of the old school, old.
Well,
the frozen, no movement, no going forward. This is the way. That's all that's going to be. There's not going to be anything different.
Yeah.
And that's a really excellent example of that. And the show itself, if you've ever watched The Mandalorian, shows how some people have created change within that and been, excluded because of it, but they're still zipping right along.
There is, and there's some downfall to the Mandalorian character.
Well, yes.
And it's a very lonely existence.
It is.
It's like, yes, you can go and you can interact with these factions that have a whole lot more, because they don't adhere to that strict, hey, this is the only way of things are done.
Right.
You can take off your helmet.
Exactly.
You can fraternize among each other.
Yes. And that's the next generation of the Mandalorians.
Correct.
They're the ones that the old school Mandalorians are trying to kick out.
Yes, and they are not able to move forward.
Right.
Their numbers are dwindling.
Exactly, because of that old school attitude, because of the inability to evolve or adjust or move forward. They will die. They will die out in stasis because the lack of movement, the lack of going forward will kill you.
Progress.
Inertia will kill you.
And because that's the third concept is really well is are you able to pivot?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I cannot stress enough. When we've done things the last 12 years, it has been, okay, here's the plan. Here's plan A. Okay, we've reached plan A. What's it look like? Well, we need to shift right and go to plan B.
Right.
Okay, we shift left, go to plan B. Okay, we reached plan B. What's the next step? Okay, we look around. It's like, okay, we shift to the left and plan C. And it's always a kind of evaluate the room, evaluate the situation, and make adjustments.
Yes.
Anyone who says that, hey, this is the way it is, this is the way it will always be, forgets that the one constant thing in the universe is change.
Yep. This is the way it is. This is the way it will always be. This is the way that'll never work. It'll never stand. The only constant in the universe is change. I said it a million times, and that falls into the whole category of death and taxes. Death is change, if you look at it that way.
So yeah, you can't, if the minute you started adhering to that old reliable,
yes,
you have locked on to a point and you have an inability to change.
Right. And that inability to change does you a massive disservice. Massive.
And we saw that. We saw that during COVID, the start of COVID, when we had restaurants that were not able to adopt different means of ordering or different means of delivering their food, different ways to bring in supplies.
Uh-huh.
Right now in our insurance industry, we are seeing again another massive change
Right.
with the Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh my God, that's going to be huge.
Now, most people aren't aware of this. The 50 plus million Americans that use Medicare for their prescriptions.
Right.
Last year, about 11% of the Medicare prescription plans went bye-bye.
Yeah.
And they went bye-bye because they weren't working. They needed adjustment, or they saw the road down the path down the road and it's like, we can't make it with this one, so we're gonna
go to plan B.
We're gonna go to plan B,
and that's fine.
It happens.
It's business. It's part of the deal.
So the other 90%, hey, yeah, we keep going.
We adjust and we pivot.
That was a minor change year.
Comparatively speaking, yes.
This year is a major change year.
Nothing this big has ever happened to Medicare drug plans since they were created.
And the reason that we're saying this is they had to put a kind of a premium boost on the plans, because when they went to the groups that organized the CMS and run the rules, they said, hey, we're going to have to increase ours from a $32 average to a $132 average, and CMS said, whoa, we can't have that. Let's put some price controls in.
Yeah,
it's the first time that has happened since they started doing prescription plans.
I bet you CMS was prepared for that.
It's hard to say.
Either way, the insurance companies tried to say, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to quadruple our rates, and CMS said, no, you're not.
And we also know that a few said, we're out.
Yeah, and that's their prerogative.
That's their prerogative.
It's actually a lot more honest of a move.
So if someone is communicating, hey, no, you don't need to check your plan.
Oh, that's so wrong.
Or if they're silent without a reason, they're relying on the old reliable.
Yeah.
And it's a real disservice for their clients.
It is. One thing that we really want to do, especially this year, is even if you've been really happy with your company, even if you've been really happy with your plan, we know there's going to be changes.
Yep.
And I don't want any of my clients to be surprised by those changes.
Yeah, because it's function.
It is. And you're going to see something shake you up. And no one likes surprises when it comes to health insurance.
Yeah.
It's like no one likes surprises at tax time either. The thing is one of the things that's always been kind of cool about Medicare is it does have a certain level of set it and forget itness. Unfortunately, this is not the year to do that. Well, I don't know if that's unfortunate or fortunate. I've never encouraged people to do the set it and forget it.
No, we never have.
No, every year you're going to get this thing called the Annual Notification of Change, the ANOC document. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to look at it this year. And what the document does is it shows you this is how your plan has worked this year. This is what your plan is going to do next year. It's going to show you the rate changes. It's going to show you the out-of-pocket maximum changes. It's going to show you the formulary changes to some degree. It's really important to look at that document. In the past, you can say, oh, if I don't like what I see, I want to go shopping. If I like what I see, I'll just stick where I'm at. At this point, everybody should should investigate and make sure that the plan that they have is the right plan for them. You could conceivably let it roll over and get yourself in trouble for 2025 and say, crap, what am I going to do? And end up shopping in 2026 after a lousy year.
Well, but we're seeing the same things in the health market too.
Yes.
Because we have not seen a 10%, our state got approval on the rates.
Right.
And we're looking at an average of about 10% increase for the state individual plans.
Right. They're all running in the 9-ish range, 9 to 11. So average is about 10.
It averages about 10. So not all the plans changed at the same rate.
Nope.
So again, this is one of those times particularly if you got a large premium tax credits, you won't see the change.
Not too much.
But if you don't have a large one, then you definitely will see a large change.
Yeah, if
in
you're
price.
only getting if you're only getting like $100 in advanced premium tax credits, you're going to see your prices go up.
No, it's significantly.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a pretty good chunk, and this is the time to shop for that is November 1st to December 15th. That's the annual enrollment period for Medicare for medical insurance. You also will get that annual notification of change letter.
Yes.
And that is the time to shop. That is the time to pick a plan, because it's pretty, there's so few reasons to be able to make a change if you're not in that annual enrollment period. You don't want to mess with it.
No.
You don't, because the special enrollment period, it isn't, oh gosh, I've got new medication, I need to have a different plan. It's not, oh, I got cancer, I need a different plan. It doesn't work that way. You've got to have moved or gotten married or gotten divorced and have had to have insurance prior to that.
You have to have insurance, and you have to have a documented reason why.
Yes. So get it done during the enrollment periods. That's why we have them. And yes, it overlaps with Medicare. Yes, that means I'm going to be super busy. And Matt's going to lend a hand. He's going to handle some of the overflow, especially for the individual stuff. If you are our current client, make sure that we are still your agent of record. That shouldn't be an issue, but you never know. Weird things happen. If we're not your client, come see us. We'll take care of you. We'll make you our clients, and we will be your agent of record.
Because here's
all that kind of good stuff.
Here's one of the things that we do that's very different. We've always had the opinion that, hey, go out and talk to the other agents.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
If they do a better job, woohoo.
I just want you to have what you need.
Because our focus has always been the client.
Right. If I am the right person for you, fabulous. I'm all over it. If I am not the right person for you, go find the right person for you. The most important thing is that you have the coverage that you need.
Yeah.
Period. End of discussion. That is me supporting my community.
And it's one of those things that we do not do is that old reliable.
Nope.
And I did one last week.
Oh, did you?
There was someone that was saying, hey, they had their cars with this other company, and they hadn't worked with them. And so I said, hey, you know what? It's a hard market. I educated him about the hard market. And I said, hey, just a sec. And I went and I peeled off an ad.
Oh dear.
For that agent that was selling that particular company. I said, hey, go to them. Here's their number. These are good people, because I know your agents have moved away. But this one's a good person. And tell them that I sent them there. and she then looked at me and was like, yeah, I do that sort of thing, because at the end of the day, it's more important for you to get with a good person that provides you with good products, and it doesn't have to be me.
No. That goes back to us supporting our community.
And it's sad that that's an unusual thing.
It is.
And as a business owner, it's really frustrating when you hear about, well, this is the only way to do things, and it's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
And it's never meant to been that way.
But here's the thing: because I guess you could say we're mavericks, we do scare those who are all about the old school way, the way, and they freak out on us, and they have a tendency to. We've had people come at us in a very hostile manner, and that sucks.
Well, it's to throw out an old term. We don't run the company store.
No, we don't.
And the company store was done back in the early days of the industrial age, where companies would go out, basically build a town, build stores and stuff, and you would be forever in debt to that company because they pay you just barely enough minimum wage. They might do your housing that was lousy, and expensive.
And then you start racking up credits at the company store.
And you start racking up credits at the company store, and it became this trapped lifestyle of misery. And it's like, no, we don't run the company store. We want other small businesses. We would love to see other small businesses adopt this model and say, yeah, sure. Hey, you know what? I don't have the best widgets. Go over there, have the best widgets, but come back when you need your cogs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way you support your community. And then you start to see, okay, well, who's extracting from communities?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're, hundreds and thousands of miles away. Okay, so they don't even have customer service in your town. So they're busily extracting your community wealth.
And then what little community wealth is going to, either the big corporate pockets, then the customer service reps who are calling from Florida or Texas or wherever it's inexpensive to hire people. That little bit of money is going to that community, which is good, but it's a fraction of what would be if you were actually supporting your community.
Yes.
And you want that small community in Texas to support their community people. Everyone, it's good to support the United States as a community, but sometimes you got to think locally.
The more local you're able to get, the better off you are. And you'll see the most flavor.
Oh, there you go.
Because if you look at it, it's like, okay, cool. Hey, you know what? We've got a McDonald's that is owned by a local family. That's their sole business. Like, cool, Mandara. However, they own, they're spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to get that brand out there.
Yeah.
So they're paying that back to Ray Kroc's family to maintain that blandness.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, Mom and Pop Easy, what are you doing? Or Dizzy D's, or Mission Burgers. Bernie's, what uniqueness are you bringing to the community? It's not this cookie cutter approach. It's like, hey, do you got chili dogs? Cool. Do you got cheesy tots? Cool.
Yeah. But not there is a time and place for homogeneity. If you are in a totally different place and you need something familiar, it's nice to be able to get a cheeseburger from McDonald's because it's going to taste like the cheeseburger you had at home. I will have fallen into that many times myself, but very rarely. Usually if I'm traveling out of my area, I want to go to a local place that feeds me something local food.
You would not have a pork chop sandwich in
I have
Butte,
had,
Montana.
That's true. Butte, Montana made the most amazing pork chop sandwiches. I encourage you to try those out. But that's a good example of where you got to try local food when you're a local kitchen. But there are, again, if you are on the highway and all you see is scary diner, scary clown diner versus McDonald's, it's nice to know McDonald's is probably going to be safe.
And see, that's the leaning on the old reliable.
I'm still going to be afraid of the scary clown diner.
And see, I on the other hand will try the scary clown diner because for all I know, they've got a rainbow shake with sprinkles that's just freaking amazing.
As long as the sprinkles aren't little bugs, I'm a happy woman.
Yes, and that's why you have standards.
That's right. Not every McDonald's has lives up to standards either. They're supposed to. Either way, everything is an individual situation so often. So
yeah, you start to look at, and that's the other thing. Does the old reliable relies on group?
Okay.
Does not rely on the individual.
There you go.
So if you want individualized treatment,
you're going to want to see someone who's working new school.
You're going to want to see someone that is not saying, hey, group is the only way we're going to deal with this.
We don't need groupthink. We're not doing groupthink.
We don't need the cookie cutter approach. And some people will just glom onto that. It's like, oh, it's safe here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is the safe of McDonald's.
However, over here, if you want chili cheese fries, that's an individual thing.
That is true. You're not normally going to find those at your average McDonald's.
And so that's really important. So when you look at the old reliable,
Yep.
Look at things, and because the old reliable, it will kill your business.
Uh-huh.
It will promote staleness.
Yes.
It will start to have an uninviting approach.
Yes.
And so that you will have dwindling resources.
Yep.
So be very cautious about using an old reliable. You can use, reliable methods to get there.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, make sure you wash your hands.
There you go.
That's a reliable approach. Versus, hey, you must, you must, I lost my thought there. COVID Bob. So anyhow, it's very important to look at innovation on doing that. And if you find yourself in a dwindling situation, if you find yourself that someone that's angrily clutching on to that old reliable, because usually it's anger.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you see that, if you see that anger, hostility, and fear that kind of are the cement to an old reliable situation, you might want to start going over to the new progress.
There you go. One thing you can also keep an eye out for is somebody who's doing new progress stuff in the old reliable niche, and watch for them. They're out there.
Well, yeah, they are out there.
And they're probably on the verge of leaping out into their own world.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good place to stop.
That's a great place to stop. So, hey, be careful of the old reliable. It's one of those things that can doom you to a stale existence.
That's no fun.
It's no fun. Have a great life. We will be here next week.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully we'll be a little more coherent. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.